Welcome back to Urban Regenerative Gardening, where I show you how to garden without buying pesticides, fertilizers, how to seed save, how to start your own plants inside. Um, so if you know anybody who's realizing that it costs more to grow their own vegetables than it does to buy them, this would be the channel to tell them about. So most of the time, when the weather's nice, I'm outside. But this time of year, it's getting cold, so I got an indoor garden for this time of year. I got indoor strawberries here. And I got this little makeout brush. This is how you self-pollinate strawberries. You find a flower that just opened up. You smear it on one that's starting a strawberry. And that pollinates them. Looks like I got another flower coming there pretty soon. Get some fresh pollen. You gotta do it a couple times. Make sure you get the pollen on there. This is how the bees do it. Anyway, there's that. I had potato plants just popping up out of my pots. Not on purpose, they just came up out of everywhere. So I started this whole separate pot potato plant. I started real low. You know how you're supposed to mound the dirt up around potatoes. I started it down real low, and I'm just gonna keep adding. Let's see what happens. Anyway, if you've seen yesterday's video, the ladybugs have kind of settled in. See, they got their little clusters. They're not running around as much as they were. There's a cluster there. Sometimes you can't even see where they are because they'll be in places like inside these lids here. You see, they like hiding, which kind of makes sense. But anyway, that's that. I'm gonna start some red beets from my outdoors, from my greenhouse. I'll show you my technique on what I like to do is red beets have to be planted a half-inch deep, started a half-inch deep. So I'll put them in here and then add the half-inch of soil. It saves a lot of time. I like to use a spray bottle to moisten up the ground before I put the seeds in. And then also because this soil's really dry, so put a little bit down in there too to start with. Probably can't see very good. You can see it. Just like being like an inch or something, half inch. And then I like to put like 4. Something like 4 in each spot. This is one of the few things I had to buy because I tried letting some go to seed in my indoor garden in the spring, and they were so huge, and it just was like taking up so much space. I bailed out on it. You have to do more than one, or otherwise it won't cross-pollinate. It was just, eventually it was taking up so much room. It was ridiculous, so I just bailed out on that project. Maybe if I had a bigger garden, that wouldn't be a problem, but my garden's pretty small. I do like square space gardening, I guess it's called. Or I guess it's more accurately, it's called square foot gardening. I can't remember. Something like that. I don't have notes. I just, I learned a lot of stuff. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah. And I just water it in again. Just so you know that's what I'm doing. Now I'm wetting it down again. Okay. Then I put the 1/2 inch of soil on top. And just kind of maybe, don't really have to pat it down much. Just get it in there a little bit. So this soil was extremely dry this year, the soil that I made. And maybe that's why I don't have the bugs this year. Because they just, they can't live in there without this. And then you gotta water this. You really gotta do this a couple times because of how dry it is. So I might do this like a couple times here this morning, and then maybe again in the middle of the day, and again before I go to bed or something. It takes a lot to get. And between the water coming up and watering it on top, eventually it'll hydrate. But it takes some time for the water to really soak in there again. And then I like to label it. And been a couple minutes, so try to get it a good start, And then these, they don't need to be in the light when they're germinating. So I have this little setup here. It's a little bit darker under there. Try to make it a little darker under there anyway. Here's the original package that the Ladybugs came in. There's like a little nest that was inside the Ladybug pack. Yeah, they're kind of like, here's another cluster here. So you just gotta kind of look for them. You never know where they're gonna be. But I transplanted those every potato plant that I saw come up just out of nowhere. You can't see them here. Yeah, you can see. This light is different. This light is like a purpley light. It's hard to see, but they seem like they're taking root. So I should mention this year's, the only seeds I had to buy this year were, I'm trying to think, I had to buy string beans. That's because last year's string bean harvest wasn't that good. This year I got like 4 times as many string beans. I was giving string beans away to people. Made a whole bunch of homemade soup, froze up a whole bunch of it. And I started just not having time to freeze them and nowhere to put them. I just started giving them away to neighbors and stuff. And I just let some go to seed outside toward the end. So now next year I won't have to buy string bean seeds. Plus I still had some left over too, so I'll probably use the ones I bought next year, and then the ones I doing seed saving this fall, I'll use the year after that or something like that. Use the older ones first. But I got there's 2 extra cabbage. Like these guys were literally about that size 2 weeks ago. Probably even, they were smaller than this 2 weeks ago. The soil was just working out really nice this year. I took a lot of extra time this year to make my indoor soil. One thing I did different is I made sure I had the oldest soil. So the soil that I made like in the fall and then had it there in the spring, that's the soil. I just put it away somewhere until I could get around to it. And then I let it, and then I took it outside and laid it in the sun and I let it dry out really good. And then I sifted it. It makes it easier to sift when you dry it out. And I sifted it. Something I quit doing from my outdoor garden, because outdoors, nature can just deal with anything that's not perfect. Indoor, it has to be just right. So that's one of them, and it took a lot of time to sift all of that soil. And then I went through I took the old soil left over from last year's indoor garden and I mixed it. So it ended up being something like 60% used soil and about 30% the compost I was just telling you about that I sifted, and about like another 10% peat moss. That's only one of the few times I buy anything, and that's for the indoor garden, because the indoor garden needs, I think it needs it. Well, I must be right because it's soils. It was a theory, and now it's like not a theory anymore because the soil's doing so well. So yeah. So the other seed that I had to buy last year was carrots. So I bought like $3 or $4 worth of, something like $4 probably worth of string beans, and then the carrots were expensive. Carrots were probably like $10-15, something like that. I bought 4 packs. I still have like a pack and a half of carrots left over. I wanted to get good ones, so I went ahead and paid extra for the good ones. And make sure you get heirloom. That way, if you do want to do seed saving, you can do seed saving with the heirloom ones. This is my stash of like these guys here are really nice. They work out really good. You can sit them like right here on the ends. If I can show you, I'll show you here. They fit right there on the end, so it works out really nice. So this is the setup. The one on top has holes in it. You can see the holes. Yeah, there's a couple of holes in there, and then the bottom one doesn't have holes. That way it can drain. And then I just ended up using, you could probably use whatever. I had these laying around for something else I was doing. It didn't work out. So I ended up just cutting these in PVC. They seem to work really nice. Gives you a little gap there. I don't know how it's going to come out. Yeah, you can see that little gap there for when it needs to drain. I was putting 2 of these in I had been doing 2, but they're doing so much better now. I'm just going to do 1. I'm going to put 1 in each. Like that. Alright, so I didn't fill it up all the way to begin with. Gotta be able to get these guys in. Make a hole here. Alright, got it out of the pot. There it is. Got a new home. It's better if you water it in. Water it in to begin with there. And then I have a little container I use. Works out really nice. Sorry if sometimes I'm not keeping the camera I need to try to remember. Alright, here's... Just push it in. You're not doing it any favors by not pushing. Because you're letting the roots, when you push in on it, you're getting the roots to contact better to the soil, the new soil. So just push on in there. And then I like to leave it lower next to the plant. That way when you water, you're keeping the water where it needs to be. Then you don't have all that drainage issues. You can do more concentrated watering. When you're over time, you can kind of keep an eye on down there and see how much. Right now there's like nothing in there. Just kind of tilt it. You can see if the water goes to the one side, then you know you can tell how much water's in there. Just put this off the side. This is where the aphid problem was over here. So they're probably cleaning up the aphids. There's a big cluster. Let's see what happens. I was a little bit worried. These plants are so healthy looking. I was a little worried that eventually the aphids would really start hurting the health of the... I try not to touch anything over here, because then I'll go touch somewhere else. You know, it'll be if I have to touch something over here, it'll be like the last place I touch before I leave. That way you're not... Because if you fiddle with this and then go fiddle around the other part of the garden, you might be spreading it. This is 7 days worth of celery. Celery takes a long time before they germinate. And they like to be in the light. That's why I'm over here in the light. There's like no sign of celery's coming up yet. But next weekend, I do videos on the weekend. So next weekend, there'll be little tiny celeries coming up. Stay tuned. So, anyway, that's it for this video. Starting to get a little long. So, like I said, if you know anybody that's frustrated with what it costs to garden, all the stuff they have to buy and everything. This indoor garden, I admit, this is money. This is something I like to do for the winter. This is my own little happy place. But outdoors is where I really keep the cost down. I don't know, like I said, I only spent like $20 or something, $15, $20 last year on seeds. So hit the like button and tell your friends about it that like gardening, and subscribe. See you on the next video.